when you read depth in the Bible, God created everything, okay? Animals and everything. There's only one person that's in control of everything, and that's God Almighty. But we live in a crazy society. Questions about what?
That's the catch. I can't tell you. It's a surprise. It's a social experiment.
Social experiment?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So the first question is, what do you think about forced child labor?
Forced child labor? It's not good.
What about it makes it not good?
Well, I think a child should be a child before they have to go to work, but then they got to learn the ethics of work as they age. But what kind of age group are you talking about?
Let's say under 12.
Nah, I don't approve with that, because a kid needs to be a kid.
If they work for us, would you say that it's also wrong because as an adult we take advantage of someone who's more vulnerable than us?
Right. Yeah.
What do you think about slavery?
That wasn't right neither.
What about it makes it not right?
Well, a human being shouldn't be slaved. Period. No matter what their age is.
What is it about a human being that makes it wrong to enslave them?
Other people shouldn't be allowed to have control over somebody else. Everybody has freedom.
Would you say that it's also wrong to own someone else's property?
Yes. Yes. Or use them as a retirement fund or anything else like that. Yeah.
If a slave owner was to justify owning a slave because they think that the slave is here for them, what do you think about that?
It still relates back to a control thing. Certain people want to control things. What they don't understand is they're not in control. There's only one person that's in control of everything, and that's God Almighty. If I'm going to be a slave, I'll be a slave to Him.
Would you say that it's a good justification or a bad one?
To Him it is, but to an individual, no.
If someone like a human says that,
No.
like someone else, yeah.
No.
Okay.
They don't have the capacity.
So in the situation of the slavery, would you say that it's more important to focus on the owner's desire to own a slave or about the slave?
I don't believe in that. I mean, it's unjustified. Nobody owns nobody. We're all individuals.
I want to give you a scenario. So a woman is drunk and passed out in an Uber. The Uber driver fondles her and she's not going to remember anything and she doesn't feel anything. What do you think about that?
That's not right neither. It relates to a lot of things. It's assault, sexual abuse, mentally abuse, physically abuse. Now you said she may not remember. Her mind will.
Something inside of her, yeah. She's still being used, the act is
Because
still
of
there.
the trauma from it. Yep. I know that because I've been traumatized.
And it doesn't matter if she's not suffering, right? It's still wrong.
It's still wrong. Yeah.
There's no body
Because
sovereignty.
It's a violation. Period.
What do you think veganism is?
People supposedly don't eat meat, but they eat fish. What is fish? It's meat.
Yes.
So are they really vegan? No.
No. The people who do that aren't vegan, that's
No,
for
they
sure.
want to claim that, but if you're eating fish, you're eating meat.
So the reason I put you through all these questions is because the answers really explain well the principle of veganism, which is the stance against animal use and exploitation and ultimately slavery. So so we obviously all agreed on all the answers you gave because they're very straightforward. Knowing that veganism is this, and it's not only a diet, and it encompasses everything you might do to use an animal, what would prevent you from opposing animal exploitation and use and being vegan?
I don't agree with that neither. Cattle was put here for us to raise and for us to eat.
Isn't that what the slave owners thought? Remember when we talked about that?
Yeah, but there's a little difference there that I see. As far as a slave goes, I mean, I don't agree with that. Certain animals, like cattle, I can understand because we get beef from it.
We don't need it, though.
Why?
We don't need it health-wise.
I like a good steak.
Remember when we talked about, like I asked you if the desire of the slave owner is more important than the slave?
Okay.
And you said no.
No, right. Okay, but take, for instance, somebody's got a bunch of slaves like that. They decide to start killing the slaves and eating them. What do you think about that?
Well, I think that's same as
humane.
using,
It's humane.
It's humane.
Yeah, humane.
Why?
It's you don't do that. You don't eat another
it's
person.
Inhuman.
Inhuman,
Oh, yeah, okay, sorry, I didn't hear it.
So, but as far as cattle goes, it's a whole different story. Because cattle, this is where people don't understand this. They want to ask this question. When you read depth in the Bible, God created everything, okay? Animals and everything. He made it in such a way where we are to raise cattle, oxen, stuff like that. Oxen to work the fields, cattle you raise them and you eat them later on. Let them live a life. And a lot of cattle do live a life.
But the slave owners also believed that slaves were here for them. They believe that. Is that okay to justify it because you believe that they're here for you?
I don't justify that. As far as slaves go, I don't know.
What's the difference between an animal and a human that makes it okay to enslave an animal but not a human?
Well, if you're feeding the animal and watering the animal, you're not really enslaving him. And
well, if you do that with a human.
Well, I mean, if you're talking about dog or cat, stuff like that, it's a little more different. I mean, there's some of the owners, I'll tell you this, because I've been out on cattle farms, I've been out on places like that and stuff, and there's a lot of the owners that raise cattle, they're not the ones that put the cattle down.
Is that not slavery, though? They're owning them as property, and they're using their bodies, and there's no body sovereignty.
You can call it what you want. I don't think it's slavery. I think it's just raising the animal.
You could say that owning a slave is raising a human to use them. You could call it like that as well, but that's still what it is, slavery.
Got me on this. Kind of, sort of, yeah. In a sense. I guess you could say that. But it's the same scenario goes for fish. You go out and catch a fish. You go out and catch a fish, and you eat the fish. What are you doing?
Yeah, I totally agree. That's not vegan.
Or you get an aquarium.
Yeah, exactly.
Put fish in the aquarium. Well, it runs into the same
thing.
It'll run into the same ball game, won't it?
Yeah.
Interesting, ain't it?
Yeah, using animals.
So we basically live in a slavery society.
Yeah, but we can change that, just like we can change everything for the better, right? We can just not partake in it and be vegan.
Ooh, yeah, I don't have an aquarium.
What would prevent you from living vegan and opposing animal slavery?
Living vegan? Actually, I do eat a lot of vegetables and stuff. I don't always eat a lot of meat. Sometimes I do, but it's not always.
So it would be easier for you.
Yeah, I could adapt to it if I wanted to. I can adapt to anything.
If you were one of the animals in the slaughterhouse or in the zoo, for example, trapped in a cage for the entertainment of others, it's just an example, how urgently would you want you to be vegan and to be part of the change for them?
Actually, I've been in a slaughterhouse before. Actually, I was on a guy's farm one day. I was a lot younger. He raised some pigs and he was going to cook a pig. So, and I watched it all go down. He killed the pig. I watched. I didn't participate. And he cleaned the pig out and stuff like that. And come to find out, the pig had a real bad illness or sickness. So the meat wasn't no good. In a sense, I look at that and I'm like, the pig could have died a couple days later, a week later. Did he do the pig a favor? Maybe.
Would you do someone a favor if they have cancer and they know they're going to die and you shoot them against their will?
I wouldn't go against their will.
Exactly.
So Well,
It's not euthanasia. It's not assisted suicide. What you did to the pig. Let's face it. You
well,
know?
I understand that, and I see that point. You know, it's not that I don't see the point of that. I do, but I'm looking at other perspective of it too. You know, I mean, you know, like us, why do we get cancer? Where does it come from?
I don't know, but if we wouldn't do that to someone who has cancer because it's against their will, you know, it's not assisted suicide. We wouldn't do that to anyone.
Yeah, I agree, but I'm looking. The thing is, with me, I don't look at something just one aspect. I look at it several different aspects. So I got a real high perspective of things. There is people though that does that though. Pulls the plug on people.
Yeah. Is that okay though, from the victim's perspective? You know, because we got to particularly look at the victim's perspective because that's what matters the most, right?
I don't know. I can't answer that question. I don't know.
I don't know if it's okay for the victims.
Maybe the person that had cancer or something. Maybe they decided that. You know,
that's assisted suicide.
Well, I know that, but I don't know. Maybe they didn't.
Well,
but I mean, I've seen it happen several times where you never know. A person might get better or something, and they pulled a plug on them anyway. I don't know.
Sure, but shooting someone against their will because they have cancer is not okay. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, if you're defending yourself,
of course, that's different.
It's different, yeah. But we live in a crazy society. That's all I got to say.
I want to give you a card. I appreciate your time. And until the day that you do go vegan, animals will go through all what we talked about, animal slavery and, exploitation and use all this stuff on your behalf. Yeah.
That's a good question.
Have a good one.
Okay, you too.
Thank you.